You know the hardest thing about a mustache is actually like keeping the sides level.
Yeah.
I find myself constantly like, oh, this one's a little too long, this one's too short.
That makes sense.
Oh, we're live. I'm talking about my mustache. Hey everybody, welcome to Start Fest, welcome to Start Madness. I was talking about how hard it is to keep a mustache trimmed and level with the judges. These are our judges. Thank you all so much. I'm so excited that Start Madness is back. This is unbelievable. The greatest event I was ever a part of was this. It was super grassroots. Our budget was nothing. We were at the depot in Salt Lake City. We got all the venture capitalists in Utah, and we launched this pitch competition. And to have it back and to have Start Fest back is just super meaningful. I want to thank the judges, Blake, Jeff, Kareen, the whole team for doing this. Pelion Ventures for being the one behind Start Madness and pushing this and being such a great partner to us. I'm going to let Kareen Clark introduce the judges, and then right after that, UpKid, our first company, will begin to pitch. Thank you.
So super quickly, we'll start over here. Jeff Curl, Stance, Skull Candy, serial entrepreneur. Zen Razavi from our investment team. Sorry, Jeff's a partner. Zen from our investment team. Cloudflare helps us find great companies. Susanna Duke was a consultant, but also part of our investment team. Everyone knows Blake Moderzitsky. He's the managing director of Pelion, built it for like 30 plus years, our fearless leader. Chad Packer, also a partner for our team, law student, attorney, MBA, and on most of the boards that we invest in. Katie Hymas, analyst for our team, also on the investment team, and then Taylor Youngblood, a college athlete, but also MBA from a portfolio company and an analyst for our team. And I'm Kareen, just a friend of Silicon Slopes.
Here's UpKid, give it up.
Okay, thanks. All right, hi everybody. My name is Tyler. I'm the CEO and co-founder of UpKid, and we are giving childcare providers the support system that they need. There is a childcare crisis in America today, and it is caused by a shortage of childcare. Parents just can't find childcare. And why is there a shortage of childcare? It's because being a childcare provider is a really hard job. Childcare providers don't have the support that they need, like in regular jobs. They don't have a school district. They are the business owners and caring for children at the same time. For example, one provider we're working with, her name is Carrie. Carrie owns and runs a daycare, and she's been doing it for the last 20 years here in Lehi, Utah. She's licensed by the state. She has one employee and cares for up to 16 children. She works from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. Imagine that, 12-hour days for 20 years caring for 16 children. I can't even keep track of my 3 kids half the time, but she loves it, and she loves caring for these families. We asked her about a few months ago and asked her, what do you do when you need to take a sick day? Because 16 families depend on you. And she just laughed at me and she said, we don't take sick days. I haven't taken a sick day in 20 years. Parents rely on us and they need us. And sadly, this is not uncommon. Small providers and large providers both have this problem. Large providers care for hundreds of kids. And have multiple facilities, and if they have one employee that doesn't show up or calls in sick, they're scrambling to find somebody. For small providers, there's a lot of overhead to actually hire an extra employee just in case they need to take a day off. And we are solving this by creating a platform for childcare providers to find qualified substitutes. Childcare providers can go into our app and add a shift and find background checked and trained substitutes. Substitutes get the flexible gig job that they want but doing something that they love, caring for children. Our business model is similar to Lyft or Uber. Daycares pay us, and we pay our substitutes, and we charge a small service fee on top. We have some early traction. So just a month ago, we did a pre-product launch. Those beautiful app designs, it's not a reality yet. We're launching that app in July. But we already have 500 hours booked, and I'm doing this all manually. We've doubled the number of hours that our substitutes have worked in May to June, and we're on track to double that in July. And we have 100 plus childcare providers in Utah on our wait list. We only opened it up to 5 providers at first. And I'm getting emails all the time from childcare providers outside of Utah asking when is this going to be available in their state. One provider that we're working with, her name is Jody. She said, we run 5 centers in Utah, and we have used UpKid almost every day since they launched. This relieves such a big headache for me and allows me to focus on providing better care for the children instead of worrying about finding someone last minute. We plan on nailing it here in Utah first and then scaling to the 850,000 licensed providers nationwide. The substitute problem alone is a $400 million market, but we see that as our beachhead to the $52 billion market and solving more of these problems in the childcare space. My background and my co-founder's background, we were both early employees at Owlet Baby Care. We were there in the garage days, and I was a product manager over the app, and Drew was a software engineer over their mobile app. And we helped Owlet go from the $0 to the $1 billion valuation they are today. And we are passionate about helping all of these unsung heroes like Carrie just have a day off. Thanks, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
So one question.
Yeah.
One question. The people that sign up to be your guys that want to come work, substitutes,
Yeah.
do they get ranked by the care center so that you get rid of the terrible ones?
Yes. Yep. So 5-star ranking, and they can give them constructive feedback as well, and it goes both ways.
So how do you go about finding the substitute? So like going out and finding the care centers seem relatively easy, but the other side of the coin of finding the substitutes, how do you market to them?
Definitely, that's going to be our biggest challenge. And the way that we're doing it right now is working with colleges. Many of our substitutes, they are pursuing early childhood education degrees, and they need a flexible job. And honestly, I've just been going on care.com and messaging people, and that's how we're getting most of our substitutes today.
How do you think about, look, the world is filled with wonderful people, the world is filled with bad actors. And so you can bounce them out through ratings, but how do you, in the beginning, how do you qualify these guys coming in to ensure that there's safety associated with these children?
First, we're working very closely with the state and the state licensing department. They have to do a full FBI background check, get their fingerprints done. And then also do training through the state before they even go into a childcare center. And we are also interviewing every single substitute before they go into any childcare center.
Can you describe your revenue model?
Yes, yeah, so we pretty much put $2 on top of every hour. So $10 an hour would go to the substitute, and we charge the provider $12 an hour. And that's how we do it right now.
Tyler, how is the communication between the subs and the child care providers? Because obviously you do the background checks, but some people are more particular and want to talk to them. So is there a way to do that on your platform?
Not yet. Right now, I'm texting both providers and our substitutes and just doing it manually, and I connect them over text. And then they can communicate with them and tell them anything about their program before they actually come in, and they feel prepared.
Can you help us understand the market size? When you look at the provider you described in Lehi, Utah, how many of those are there in the United States?
There are 850,000 total childcare providers. The small providers like that is about 75% of that market.
Well, and I want to congratulate you on sort of what you built so far, but could you also educate me on, if I think about this business and I take Lyft and Uber, I think about the business of trust, right, on two sides. Sounds like there are some bad actors and you're working with the state. Is it a state-by-state case from a regulation perspective that you guys are concerned about to make sure this thing scales?
Yes, yeah, so we will have to work with each state agency over childcare licensing as we scale this, and that has been the biggest help, actually, working with the state of Utah. They actually asked me to start a substitute network as I was looking at this. We're like, hey, we will help you figure this out. We'll give you a special license so that you can get this. All of our care providers need this.
Will you also be working with corporations and gyms that offer childcare as a benefit for their employees?
Definitely.
I think that's all the time for questions. Thanks so
Okay,
much.
thank you.
I'm a new mom, so I appreciate this.
Awesome.
All right, that was awesome. Give it up for UpKid. Unbelievable. And now, Publisher Arts. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Tim Kapp. I'm with Publisher Arts. I'm the Chief Data Officer. Our mantra is that where there's a screen, there's an audience. Where there's an audience, there's engagement. And wherever there's engagement, there is revenue. And behind every screen, there's a methodology for gathering the data that tells us about the behavior of the audience in front of the screen. And with that data, you can maximize, that data tells us how to maximize the revenue for that particular channel. So I'm going to tell you a little story. In 1995, or in the early 90s, telecom started investing heavily in infrastructure. They spent trillions of dollars, not billions, trillions of dollars on infrastructure in order to prepare for the opportunity they saw coming down the pipe with the internet. In 2007, we had some disruptions that launched with the iPhone, with Netflix, and a few other companies. And so starting in 2007, OTT applications, or over-the-top applications, as they're called, started disrupting the telco's plans. They started doing this by selling directly to consumers, and they sold subscriptions and other services directly to consumers, but they used the telco infrastructure to deliver their products. So they began stealing the plans. They started stealing the data, the revenue that the telcos had traditionally had. Telcos traditionally made money through voice, through text services, and through usage data, and suddenly they were being bypassed. And this happens every day. All of us do it. We watch Netflix for hours at a time. We listen to our Audible, okay? We listen to books in the gym. We even start using WhatsApp or Zoom, which is now stealing trillions of minutes of data from traditional voice services. And so the telcos are trying to figure out what is happening and how they can fight back. And they've done a great job. They've started down this process. Right now, they are investing I should go back. Right now, they're investing, in 2009 alone, they invested $1.18 trillion in digital transformation projects in an attempt to begin, again, building more infrastructure that they can use to now take on the OTT applications and begin doing something there. But the problem they have now is a lot of these applications are grown up. Netflix is now a big company. YouTube is now a Google company. Amazon, Apple, they're now fighting big players. So this is no longer the Wild West. The other issue is, as I said, the data was taken. They no longer have access to the data that direct-to-consumer type companies have. And so this is the big problem. Their data is only unique to their ecosystem. So they know a little bit about their customers, but they don't know everything about their customers. They don't know the shows they watch. They don't know the applications they have in their home. They are facing a problem with the attention economy. You know, customers now have over 300 different options. You can no longer partner with just one person. And they don't have any closed-loop feedback for getting data back from the customer. And that's what we solve. Publisher Arts helps with 3 areas. We bring data together for the company. We help them gather the data they have. We supplement that data with specific external data that enriches and unlocks the value of their data. And then on top of this, we build AI, machine learning, and other models that will help them understand what those behaviors are and who they should be targeting. We bring automation and scale. We have a number of models, a wide variety of models, but the secret sauce is gathering their data, organizing it, cleaning it, matching it up with traditional or new data, proprietary data, and then delivering the correct models.
I was just going to ask, kind of your go-to-market, your selling motion. Talk to me a little bit about how that works. Is this a VAR, direct?
We have a pipeline of industry experts. It's typically done through industry influencers or prior executives in the industry. So we've built a channel of executives, prior executives, consultants that can get us into the top levels and have done a great job doing so.
Would you characterize the tool as a data visualization tool? Would it be a competitor to, say, a Tableau or a Domo?
No, not
Or
at all.
Separate?
In fact, we often partner with those. It's not a data visualization tool. It's a set of proprietary data that we marry with their data, and then we build proprietary models on top of that. Visualization, we would partner with someone like that.
So to better understand this, and maybe you can educate me, it sounds like you're solving for the abstraction on the last mile for ISPs, where they own the first mile, but the last mile is to the end device. So you're ingesting all this data about the devices and users, and then you're packaging that to ISPs to say this is what your users want, and therefore they're not getting it because the users are now controlled by the Netflixes of the world that actually can have and own the last mile. Is that right?
Very, very close. They are already ingesting the data. Surprisingly, they're just not analyzing it because they don't have the right data to match up with their data to unlock and figure out what their data actually has. So the two sets together unlock that, but very, very close to what you described.
Describe, when you talk about data and mashing up data, I get a little PTSD in terms of like services. So talk to me about how automated it is versus you coming in and doing custom service work in terms of modeling and AI and ML, creating models that work for each of those telcos.
There's always some custom work figuring out how to get their data, because every data set is different, to get their data into our system. Once it's in our system, the models are quite similar. It doesn't matter which company it is, the models are very similar. Or even if we add additional data in, the models are designed to be abstracted enough that they can capture that and be very repetitive.
Then I have one other follow-up.
Yeah.
PII, so there's a ton of regulatory stuff going on in the world. You could look at Google and some of the other stuff with cookie tracking. Like, how does this fit into that entire world?
We stay extremely involved. I'm on the board. In fact, I was a founding member of the National AI and Cybersecurity Organization, the ISAO. We stay extremely involved in doing that. We're currently involved with Europe right now in making sure we stay up on AI and PI drafts that have been coming out. And so it is an issue. But we're very much on the side of protecting consumers where it's protected. The right way to view that is the outcome will be a balance. You have to have some information, you have to have some protections, and somewhere in the middle is the right answer. And we'll be protecting data as the consumers want us to.
Where are you today in terms of revenue, customers,
Okay.
everything?
We have one of the largest telcos in the world, or in Singapore, second largest in Singapore, is a paying customer today. We've been building things out with them, and they have been a great charter customer to help us innovate and allowing us to come in and use their data to innovate. Our sales pipeline is pretty full. We're speaking with most of the very large name brand telecoms in the world right now at very high levels, and we're having great discussions. As you can imagine, those take a while to close, but we're having all the right discussions right now.
Sorry, one last question.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the difference between the $3,000 and $100,000 contracts?
3,000, 100,000, we've kept it simple so far. It's purely based on how many customers they have.
Thank you, Tim. It's awesome.
Hey, we have T-shirts. I'm going to bring it up on this next one, but we're going to pass out some T-shirts to people who are here. We should give away some T-shirts to those who are watching. The T-shirts are phenomenal, designed by Pelion, right? Well done. I'll bring it up. All right, here's Fia Care. Give it up for him.
Hi, I'm Steven Fabiano from FiaCare. I've spent over 10 years working for the largest healthcare companies in the space. I've done everything from building deep analytical models to managing parts of Optum's Medicare business. In that time, I've seen at aggregate the consequences of misaligned incentives between providers and patients. And I'm willing to bet that everyone on this panel has experienced those same consequences as well. These manifest when a patient tries to set an appointment with a doctor. You spend weeks waiting for an appointment. You've stuffed kids into a car. You try to negotiate with work 3 to 4 hours to take so you can drive, wait in a waiting room, spend 5 minutes with a doctor getting 2 of your 10 questions answered before they finally skedaddle. All of that you're doing sometimes just for a renewed prescription for your skin rash cream. Moreover, you're spending $200 for that because you haven't even hit your $6,000 deductible. Patients don't want to empty their bank accounts just for healthcare. So why does this happen? Doctors are fee-for-service. They get paid fee-for-service, which means that each procedure, poke, or prod that they do to you has a billing code and a dollar amount attached to it. And clinics and provider groups are profit-maximizing entities, meaning doctors spend all of their time trying to maximize revenue by seeing as many patients as possible in a given time period. Theirs is a business model that rewards volume, rather. It doesn't mean that your doctor doesn't care about you, per se, but it does mean that they're yoked to a system that doesn't reward quality time spent with patients. So what does FiaCare do? We take out the paperwork for providers and let providers just focus on taking care of patients, nothing else. For patients, we offer unlimited access to healthcare, evening extended hours, chat, video, and home visits. You can sign up and see a provider immediately, and you're getting the best prices either through a subscription or through incredibly low fees. We've combined technology and a better business model to bridge the gap and allow you to have the relationship with the doctor that you've always wanted. Do you remember the time when your doctor would come to your house, they knew your family, they knew your dog, and they'd treat you whenever you needed? You probably don't, because we don't live in that world anymore. The modern healthcare business model doesn't exist to support that. So what we've done is created a platform and a service where providers are incentivized to do exactly that. They're incentivized to just take care of patients, and for patients, you're getting the absolute lowest rates for healthcare humanly possible. For example, when you have a 2-year-old, you're a new mom. When you have a 2-year-old and your 2-year-old has a fever, and you're thinking, oh, am I going to go to the emergency room and spend the possibly $3,500 just to find out that they have a minor ear infection? We step in. And we're that resource so that a single $25 video visit can save you thousands of dollars in healthcare, literally. Using FiaCare is easy. You jump on our website, download our app, you're talking to a provider over video, we'll even send the provider to your house. Meet George, a 55-year-old gout patient who suffered from severe gout and didn't have insurance. He was spending $2,000 every time he'd go to the ER just to get his prescription renewed. After joining FiaCare, within 2 hours, he had his gout prescription and was only $25 lighter. In the first 3 months, we tracked a test group of patients in order to determine the quantity of savings that they were going to experience with FiaCare. We saved them over $72,000 in ER visits, $1,200 in prescription savings, and saved them an insane 260 hours of time not having to go back and forth between different providers. We're growing quickly. We launched in Thanksgiving. We have over 30,000 in revenue, hundreds of patients, and we're always adding providers and new specialties. We're selling to employers. We're credentialing with Medicare and Medicaid, and we're selling direct to families. This market alone, just on the primary care side, is $80 billion plus in the US. And with my own Medicare experience, I know that just in Utah, it's a $1.8 billion opportunity for FiaCare. Thank you.
Can you talk to me about kind of the competitive landscape and like how this problem is solved today and like who you're bumping into or who you're replacing?
The principal competitors are usually single doc offices trying to convert to what's called a direct primary care model or a subscription model. Where we found an special competitive advantage is by acting as the platform whereby providers can join and we take on all of the headache of working, and they no longer have to worry about the whole insurance billing and all that kind of stuff. So we're already, because of that, we're able to already scale into other states and territories.
Can you talk about the business model? You're selling to companies.
Yes.
We've seen a lot of different players sell to companies, sell direct to consumers. Mm-hmm. How are you selling to the companies? How do you charge for them? How do you pay the doctors? Talk a little bit about the business model.
So for the employer side of the business, it can be customized for different employers. For employers lower than 50 employees, we often act as a substitute for health insurance. because they're not federally required to carry health insurance. For employers larger than that, we sell monthly, PMPM fees such that all of their patients can get unlimited access to our services, labs, blood work, really the whole shebang for, it depends on the size of the company. As low as $30, as much as $150 per employee. For the interesting thing for the large employers, however, is that where they're self-funded, meaning they take on the consequence of their own healthcare spending, we save them about 12.64% on their healthcare spending just through the reduced ER claims, prescription savings, and what have you. So for some patients, we're dropping their prescriptions from like $400 a month to $13 a month.
And then what about the doctors? How are you paying them out?
Depends on the doctor. When they join our platform, they can either get paid a fee for service, albeit pretty much the same fees that they're getting everywhere else, so they're usually making more money, or we're paying them hourly.
Are you pretty strict on who you let into the program? So are you just screening for like super healthy populations?
No, I just go on Craigslist. And no, I'm just kidding.
I was like, wow, that's a great idea.
We screen our providers very hard. The typical background checks and the DEA license screenings and all that. But
what about patients?
Oh, patients.
Yeah, patients. So a patient has a hard time finding insurance.
Yes.
They have a hard time. They have a hemophiliac child. And so they get turned down by a lot of folks. So
yes.
You look like you're a broker that's trying to be easier to work with to connect people, but a lot of families that struggle.
Well, we get a ton of people subscribing just through word of mouth. A lot of our population is Medicaid eligible, but they don't use care or are undocumented and can't access care at all, or they're just otherwise indigent. And so we kind of have solved this niche, not just for the more affluent population, but also for the less affluent population where they're a completely untapped market largely. Really it's just ER billing that they cover.
So you talked about the shorter waiting times for patients that get on the website, 5-10 minutes talking to a doctor.
Yeah.
How many doctors you foresee you need to have compared to how many patients to make sure you have those, slow waiting times?
This is one of those proprietary things that we'll share, but you would be amazed at the patient to provider ratio that you can support with this business model. It's honestly hundreds and hundreds of patients per provider because of the utilization figures that we see. Even with the indigent population, who are typically higher utilizers, it's very easy to have 500, 600, 700 patients to a single provider.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
All right, so these are the shirts I was talking about, the Pelion. This is unbelievable. Look how cool this is. Unbelievable. Everyone check this out. We're going to give these away on, you guys, everyone here can have one of these, right? Don't you think? Yes. All right, we'll give some away online too. All right, here's our next company. Come on up. Credo, but.
Hi everyone, my name is Eric Lowe, biologist, software engineer, and CEO and co-founder of Credo. Our mission is to create a greener future from the inside out. We've made plant care easy and fun for everyone so that they can care for their plants. But our customers, anytime they add a new plant to their family, is also contributing to the world's largest plant database. Now with that data, it allows us to know what plants need to grow in any environment. And eventually, it allows us to develop next generation plants that can grow anywhere. With the climate changing, resources depleting, and our ambitions to deep travel in space, this data is now more important than ever. Today I'm going to focus on phase 1 of our plant care system. More and more people are purchasing indoor plants due to urbanization, and plants are quickly becoming the new pets. So let me introduce you to Mika. She's a 20-year-old female, and so far every plant she's purchased has died. With her last plant baby, Pat the Peace Lily, she's determined to keep him alive and has even invested in a plant care app. Now the app will let her know when to water, but it doesn't matter. Pat continues to wilt. Frustrated, Mika didn't realize taking care of plants would be so hard. At Credo, we believe plant care should be easy. Our care begins in your plant's pot, but doesn't end there, as we provide a premium end-to-end experience and will deliver tailored products directly to your door when your plants need it, saving you time, money, space, and most importantly, stress. So how does this work? Mika subscribes to our plant care system, and she receives a sensor. She places that sensor in Pat's pot and begins monitoring his health in real time. She then uses our mobile app and is greeted by Pat's digital plant avatar, who lets her know what he needs for the day. With our subscription, anytime Pat needs anything, it'll already be on its way. Fertilizer, soil, pesticide, it'll arrive in easy-to-use one-time use packs. Pat can even let Mika know when he needs a bigger pot, and she can order it directly from our app. Our initial focus will be on millennials in the US, which account for 5 million plant owners, growing at a rate of 10% year over year. With an annual contract value of $150 per year, we're looking at a $765 million opportunity for millennials alone. As we expand to the rest of the US market, we're now looking at a $3 billion opportunity. Our primary revenue will be subscriptions. It's a flat fee with multiple tiers based on the number of plants you own, and it includes access to our plant data, plant product delivery, and curated plant selection. Now, early on, we recognized that in order to accomplish our goal of collecting as much plant data as possible, our sensors had to be affordable. So we made them $5 each, and it's a no-brainer purchase every time one of our customers decides to pick up a new plant. Like Mika, plant owners are desperate for a solution, but current plant care apps miss the mark. Without real-time data, they're doing no better than if Mika were to guess. Our data allows Mika to care for her plants proactively. And as we add more customers to our platform, it becomes more intelligent. So say your neighbor's plants are thriving. Well, we're collecting that data, and we'll let you know what steps you can take so that your plants will look just as good as theirs. We've also made our app fun and engaging so that children can learn plant science and interact with their plants just like a Tamagotchi. Our go-to-market strategy is advocacy marketing, which is to convert our customers to become brand advocates. And we'll accomplish this by connecting with them on an emotional level through our messaging on digital platforms such as social media, blogs, video, and email. And then we'll provide them a premium experience with our product and packaging design, and following it up with excellent customer service and making it easy for them to share and refer their friends. We've got a great team with the technical skills and vision needed to succeed, joined by Max Sono, our CTO, who's a senior software engineer, and Jesse Montgomery, who has a PhD in bioengineering and is our CPO. We created this company in 2019, and we've interviewed 81 customers, surveyed over 1,000 respondents, and our alpha prototype is being rolled out to the 100 subscribers on our wait list. We're looking to raise $500,000 to get to $1 million revenue in 18 months, with the funds being split between product development and marketing, with the focus on growth and getting 10,000 customers on our wait list before our official launch. Thank you.
Yeah, how do you capture the data? Oranges in Minnesota versus oranges in Florida, you're going to have widely different things. So how do you account for weather and all things that may affect the plant that are so changeable over time?
That's actually the driving factor of why we want as much plant data as possible, driven by the community, is to account for those variable changes. That's the problem right now, is that we don't have access or any empirical information on that data. So exactly right, you're growing oranges in Minnesota, it's going to be different than what you need to grow oranges in California. And what we're leveraging is the community to help aggregate all that data, and then we can design plants now that are designed for that specific environment.
What are your margins on the sensor that you're selling?
So the sensors on our end is going to cost, we're going to have to sell them for a loss. But that's okay, because our recurring subscription covers that, right? So the margins we get from the disposables, such as fertilizer, pesticide, and soil, more than enough cover the hardware component.
I also have a question, maybe two questions actually. One related to the sensors. What's the depreciation life cycle on the sensors?
So we're trying to, we're trying to be sustainable and eco-friendly, right? And we're trying to avoid e-waste. So we're trying to make the lifetime of each sensor at least 3 years.
Great, thank you. And then second to that, are you producing or are you creating like the fertilizer or the other, I think it was a transactional bucket there. Mm-hmm. Are you guys producing that yourselves, or is that a third party? And then if it's a third party, how are you thinking about rev share and sort of the cut there?
That's correct. So right now it's going to initially start off as partnerships with third parties, right? So we can partner with like Scott's and other big fertilizer companies that have all of this ready to go, and they can handle the supply chain aspect of it. So that alleviates our end of needing to handle, drop shipping and all that, and we can just handle it with them. And with them, we'll just work out a negotiation, right, where they're just selling it wholesale and we get a percentage.
Do you have a sense right now of the difference between someone who really takes care of their plants? You mentioned in your example that this woman is frustrated because her plants are dying. When you use your sensor and you use your products, what's the difference between someone who uses them and doesn't? In other words, how much more productive is it? How much better is it for the plants? Do you have any data that sort of shows just how much value the system delivers?
Absolutely, yeah. So we've been using internally, right? And the value is now there's no more of that lag time of, most people start off with succulents, right? They're like, I'm a beginner, I gotta start with the easiest plants possible. They all died, I guess I suck at taking care of plants, I'm done, right? With our product, you can start off with the most beautiful exotic plants you want because we now give you all the information you need to take care of that plant, right? So for a lot of people, it is to add aesthetics to their homes, and so on that sense, you can have the most beautiful tropical plants throughout your home, and you can come back day after day seeing beautiful green, luscious plants, right? And having to diagnose what's causing this leaf to yellow, like what changed here that's causing it to curl now. And so what it's doing is it's teaching you plant science in a habitual way, right? So you wake up every day, you open up the app, and you get set of instructions on what you need to do today with your plants. And over time, you now are learning, you're developing a green thumb over time, so that now you're just like, oh, this is what I need to do to keep them happy. And so it alleviates that stress and frustration, right? Constantly I'm always, talking to our customers, and they're like, I don't know what fertilizer to buy. I don't know what pesticide to get. When do I add this? Do I need to add this like now, 3 months later? On Google it says to do this, but this other person says to do this. Like, who do I trust? I'm even going to nurseries and I'm talking to two people and they're giving me two different sets of instructions, right? What does indirect sunlight mean to direct sunlight? What does 70% of the time mean, right? And they're so constantly confused. And so it just alleviates all that, and we just communicate with them in a really simple manner of this is all you need to do, and the rest is like taken care of on our end.
Very last question. Could you use this, say, on your lawn or plants in your yard, or is it just house plants?
That's going to be phase 2, right? So we do want to collect as much data as possible. Inside is a lot easier, obviously, from an engineering standpoint, but we do have the roadmap ready to go outside.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I kill everything I grow. This is great.
All right, thank you, Credo, Team Credo. We'd love to have you on the Meat and Potatoes podcast sometime in the near future. It's a fairly well listened to podcast. All right, microphone etiquette. Keep it closer. We're having a hard time hearing that last question, but we're good. All right, up next is sponsor.
Thank you. My name is Matt Cohen. I'm the CEO and founder of Sponsor. First, I want to say sincerely thank you to the whole panel. We really appreciate being here. Our amazing team has a mission to transform sales for companies by giving away hundreds of millions of dollars to kids and schools. So let me show you the problem we're solving. You all know this problem well. Kids need money to play their sports, their activities. This is every kid in your neighborhood. It's probably your kids. 8 million kids in the United States now need $8,400 a year to play whatever their activity is. And this problem has doubled. The cost has doubled in the last 10 years. So they're selling products. They're begging for money. These kids have an amazing amount of influence. They are mostly limited to only doing 2 of these a year, because if not, they would do fundraising permanently. I was running a solar company, and I saw this problem, and it was very real for me because we were trying to get in front of sales and in front of customers that we could sell to. These kids have so much influence, and we're spending money buying leads very inefficiently, knocking doors, trying to get referrals. We solved this problem as Sponsor by putting that together. The influencers all across the country, every single kid trying to raise money for soccer, for dance, for whatever their activity is, now they each can reach more than 30 people in their network, connect those to all kinds of businesses that want sales meetings. They don't just want a lead, they want an actual sales meeting. The kids make that happen, and those businesses now donate directly to the kids through our platform. So we are a full tech platform. Our mission is to get sales for these businesses. We don't give them a lead, now we give them a sales meeting on behalf of the kids for a cause. The supporters that come in, they get to choose from home services, financial services, buy a gift card to a restaurant, their annual pass for skiing, and the kids make money every time they shop. We make money because we cut out the SDR, the cold calling, the prospecting. We take that burden on in our tech platform that is completely scalable. We can help those millions of kids all across the United States. We make money every time that meeting happens. We make money on the sale, and we make money monthly from SaaS for all these businesses that we are increasing their sales. it is a really big market, two big markets that collide. Youth sports fundraising is almost a $17 billion a year industry. Again, every kid, 6 to 18 in the entire United States does fundraising. And these small and medium-sized businesses, lead generation is a massive problem for them. They're door knocking, they're sending flyers to everybody's homes. These markets collide here. So our space is really crowded with people that do one little piece of it, but not really well. We do it all in the middle. So you've got the people that sell products through kids, selling door-to-door, cookie dough. I'm sure you've probably been approached this week by some kid asking you to buy something. And then other platforms that are begging for money. Please just donate. It works for the affluent people, the businesses our competitors take about 30% of that revenue. SnapRaise just raised $168 million in their Series B round. They did about $400 million. They have less than 1% market share. We have an amazing team that has all this background in sales and in helping kids. I've built SaaS companies, had an exit. We have an amazing CTO because we are a sales company. We are in traction. We're doing about $43,000 a month, and we're raising about $1 million in this seed round.
So talk to me about some of the data behind, what's the percentage of a kid who sets an appointment, what's the percentage of that actually happening? Because I know SDRs always struggle with setting meetings and making them show up. So how?
Sure. So the benefit of our program, our tech gets them to that meeting, and the companies only pay when the meeting happens. So it's the kid, the influencer, that drives that engagement. They have the power to make sure that their aunt, uncle actually meets with the business. Otherwise, they don't get that $50, $100 donation for the meeting happening.
So just to be clear, you're sitting in the middle and actually scheduling those meetings between the two, or you just could, talk to me how that works.
Yeah, so we built out,
logistically.
think of a CRM on steroids. So we're a tech company. So a lead comes in, we qualify the lead to make sure that they could match to that business. We schedule it, communicate then to that business that's on our platform. They communicate directly to make sure to remind the people that the meeting's happening, how it's happening, where it's happening, reschedule if necessary. That's the secret sauce that we provide that makes this so scalable and is really efficient for the businesses.
But in that scenario, you're just the software sitting in between and you're letting the two parties, or are you actually?
Yes, but we prospect, so we do go find all the schools and the youth groups to help. And we have a campaign manager, so we help them raise the money. We walk their hand through it. And then we are also, again, the sales engine for these small and medium-sized businesses, many of which aren't sophisticated enough to actually do prospecting and sales and things like that. Did that answer your question?
How do you train these kids on how to pitch, their aunt and uncle about these businesses? Are they handed a certain company that they're supposed to tell their aunt and uncle about, or are they given a list?
Yeah, so the benefit is in our system, they create a profile and they just share. We pre-message for them, and it basically says, come support me, and I'm not asking you to buy anything or sell anything, and then the people just come and browse. So the kid isn't trying to push solar or one product or another.
I kind of think of it like back in the day. I remember selling these packets it had all of these businesses and
the discount
gave you
card.
Discount.
Yeah.
It's similar, but it's.
But instead of anybody having to buy anything, you're bringing them to a marketplace, and they say, I need a roof quote right now, or I want to buy a gift card to Mo Betta's, or whatever their shopping preference would be. And the kids get money sometimes just for a quote or a meeting, or if you make a purchase of something.
This might be far out, but could you sort of walk me through the potential possibility of these children kids, for that matter, getting a sense of some basic skills that actually could develop well into the workforce, and you're sort of minimizing the years for that, right?
Oh, absolutely. So the big value of this is the kids can earn it. They have to go ask for help. And it works really well in kind of the less affluent crowd that can't just beg for money, the ones that are 3 times less likely to play. But it also works really well in affluent areas because the kids can get those sales skills, learn how to ask for help. They're not asking for money. They're not selling any product door to door, which is, kind of unsafe. But they do have to earn their own way. And the beam on their face, I mean, we've done hundreds and hundreds of groups and tens of thousands of kids at this point. It's amazing when they earn their way and they earn their prize. They also get really cool prizes like Xboxes and stuff that they earn. But it changes their lives when they got to earn it.
Thank you so much, sponsor. I'm loving these ideas. All right, up next we have Literal. Welcome to the stage.
Hi. Yeah, how is everyone? Okay, let's get a bigger cheer going. Come on. Yeah, how we doing? All right. That was still a little weak, but we'll take it. Okay, hi. I'm Michael from Literal. And we are here because there's a massive problem going on. We've been around, we're just finishing up our first 12 months of selling this product. About last summer, we had sold a $20,000 deal, and that was about it. And this year, we'll come close to about $500,000. We've got $5.5 million in the pipeline, and we're dealing with a space with an 8-month sales cycle. So let's talk a little bit about what is behind the scenes. There we go. All right, here's the problem. The U.S. government spends $300 billion a year on secondary education, and reading scores are still declining in 70% of U.S. states. And here's why. With the advent of new media coming out all the time, reading scores have been massively on the decline, down to the point that now only 13% of high school seniors read for pleasure on a daily basis. And this is the problem. It's because we now spend, those who read for an average of 10 minutes a day. The average high school senior spends 7 hours a day gaming, text messaging, social media, okay? So you can imagine the problem we originally thought we were facing was just this one, that books are boring. We thought, oh, we can fix that. As we went out and started talking to educators, we realized the problem's multifaceted, and we actually have the best solution for a handful of folks at the district level. So equity directors, curriculum directors, superintendents, ELA directors. These are all people whose job is on the line if they can get students to read. And they can't. Because the books that we have on our shelves look like they came off the Gutenberg press. So the ability to engage the brain, to stimulate the brain in the same way that an app can, just isn't happening. So that's why we created Literal. This is a book exactly as the author wrote it. The only difference, I'm going to hand that to you guys so you can see the animation. The only difference is that it is in what looks like a group chat format. So this is the narrator coming in here in blue. These are the characters coming in here on the left. When it's playing, it looks like an active chat conversation, and it is one of the most engaging ways you will ever read a book. We'll talk a little bit more about that there, and then you guys can see that. So our model right now is $25 per student per year. We sell anywhere from 1 to 3 year site licenses for buildings. 31% of our new deals come in as recommendations from other educators. We're currently in all 50 states right now. We just got a $19,000 check from a school district. We just got $75,000 verbally committed this week. We're headed into our busy season, which is summertime. Yeah, there you go. Touch that, smell that. Oh, it feels good.
Smell that.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, guys. I did roll in it. So we have been getting picked up by a lot of media outlets and being praised for the work that we do. Students have read over 1 million minutes on Literal just this school year. We're on track to 15x our revenue for this year. We've got 400 and growing published titles. We partner with big publishers, small publishers, independent authors, and we cover between 70 to 90% of the titles that get commonly taught in schools. Now, one of the big things that we do that solves some huge problems, culturally relevant text. Okay? It is extremely difficult for educators to find books for students that represent their students, that represent the diversity, their race, their experience in life. So we focus a lot on that. We do really, really well at conferences. We just got back from a conference in Orlando where we expect to close about $110,000 in revenue. Conferences are opening back up, yeehaw. And that's it. So we'll kind of go from there.
You mentioned the 1 million minutes that kids have spent on Literal this last year. Is that an increase from, what you estimate they were reading last year? What does that look like?
Great question. So here's what we know. The average attention span for a student in an assigned book is 90 seconds. In Literal, our average session time is about 7.5 minutes, okay? And we're just at the cusp of rolling out some really cool features to further engage that opioid system inside your brain and make reading books just as engaging as social.
Do you have any metrics for how you measure retention of the content?
Okay, so that's a great question. And the answer is yes. So this fall, this is what we're really pumped about. We've got some really cool features coming out this fall because if we go back to the slide where we talk about some of the folks at the district level, they have needs that they have to hit in order to retain their jobs. And that is they've got to prove the students are reading and that they're retaining the content that they do. Now here's the deal. YouTube is filled with videos at the end of the year of students burning their textbooks and destroying the apps that they are forced to use because they hate them, they are terrible, and they suck. And that's because they're in the middle of reading and they're forced to answer a multiple choice question about whatever. So what we've done is we've done hundreds of user interviews and have mapped out exactly what educators need to get out of a comprehension check, and we have gone a completely different approach. And we built out a series of games that do not feel like tests or quizzes, that students they earn coins as they read, they spend those coins to opt in to take these games. And there's a variety of ways that they can show comprehension from that standpoint. So we are one of the first, we're the only ed tech company right now to build a consumer-grade product for education. Okay, if you know the space well, you know that is unheard of. This is why students hate reading. They hate being forced to use the tools that they use. Anyways, I ramble.
Talk about the difficulty of selling to education systems.
Oh, where do I
and
start?
how you're getting through that difficulty.
Okay, so education is notorious for 8 to 12 month sales cycles, right? So that's why you see us kind of ramping up the way that we do. It is very much a relationship game. You've got to know these people, they've got to trust you, and that just takes time. So we spent, when we raised a bit of money last year, we've only spent half of that, and we brought in a few sales reps who have gone out and started building up a $5.5 million pipeline right now. We've then realized that we kind of hit a roadblock and that they need sales enablement, marketing, and other forms of support, so we've taken a portion of our capital and have invested it there. And we're now at the point where we're breaking through that wall and we need to bring in more sales reps, right? But with an 8-month sales cycle, that's why we're looking to raise some more funds to get us through that gap so that we can see that return.
How do you get the books onto the platform?
Oh, that's actually the cool part. So we partner with publishers. That takes about 1 to 2 meetings to bring those guys in. They send us a digital copy. We hit upload. The tool that we built takes that book and automatically converts it into the format that you see with 99.9% accuracy, give or take. And then we take a manual editor who goes through the book, and they can do about a 300-page book in about 3 hours to get that title up and running.
Is that like, I'm guessing that was difficult for you guys to build out.
It was, yeah.
Other people they don't have the capability.
There's some mad science behind there. So the data that we collect on who is speaking and when in a book, that is data that is extremely valuable outside of the education space, and it's really, really hard to get your hands on.
I burned my law school books, just FYI. So.
Okay, good. That's it. Thanks, guys.
Great job, Michael. Good work. I thought I'd flaunt this awesome retro t-shirt from the Paleon designers. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it awesome? So good job, Michael, and to those who've pitched thus far. It is not easy to stand up in front of a crowd. It's not easy to stand up in front of some brilliant judges who have funded many companies and know what they're talking about and answer all these questions. We get calls at Silicon Slopes and emails on a daily basis from founders and companies looking to make connections. Because of this history and many asking for this help and others looking for resources on how do I create a great pitch? How do I actually get the guts and build the ability to stand up in front of a crowd and pitch? We built a platform for this, and it's called Founders Hub. It's foundershub.ceo.com. All of you who are actually finalists know that you applied through Founders Hub. But we just wanted to bring a little bit of attention to that. We'll bring more pitch competitions throughout the year through Silicon Slopes and Beehive Startups, et cetera, and with amazing venture fund partners like Paleon. And that platform will be built out over the years and provide a resource for founders to connect with all the meaningful resources that they have. So without further ado, the next company up is Storier. Good luck.
Thank you, guys. My name is Danny Naylor. I'm the CEO of Storier. I have a question. Have you ever seen a toddler throwing a tantrum because they want to watch YouTube videos or play games on their parent's phone?
Oh, God.
The problem is not the kid, and it's not the parent either. It's the visual world we live in, where access to mindless entertainment is the easy but dangerous solution. 7 out of 10 parents are concerned about the amount of time their kids are spending in front of screens, and for good reason. Too much screen time for kids is associated with low self-esteem, poor school performance, obesity, eating disorders, and anxiety. It's inevitable that screens will continue to negatively affect our society until we act to improve children's relationships with technology. Studies show when we remove the visual stimulation and just focus on the story, children think more abstractly. Their ability to focus increases and their reading levels actually increase. That makes audio a promising way to fight against screen time, but existing audio media companies fail to curate kid-friendly content. Even when you search by name for a kid's podcast, the results are surrounded with shows about sex and murder. That's why we've built the best audiobook, podcast, and music platform dedicated to kid safety, entertainment, and education. Storier is kid-safe, screen-free, ad-free, has no in-app purchases, and it's the best way to introduce audio to first-time audio story listeners. The market for children's audio subscriptions is $6 billion and is poised to double in the next 5 years. And due to the pandemic, parents and teachers are desperate for screen-free ways to entertain and educate their kids. Due to our proprietary gamified token system and major shifts in the audiobook industry, Storier can access premium audiobooks from publishers who won't work with any of these competitors. These platforms as a consequence of that, these platforms have much less audiobook content than we do, and the content that they have is mostly lower quality. None of these guys will do what we're doing also, because Pinna would have to re-architect their entire business model and technology. Spotify is invested into music. Audible Stories was only offered during the pandemic, and Epic is a screen-powered visual platform. You may be wondering where we get our content from. We've partnered with great publishers, including HarperCollins, Warner Music, and Macmillan, and we're currently in negotiations with Scholastic, Penguin Random House, and Disney. While most of our content comes from publishers, original content is a really important way to build our competitive moat and build the Storier brand. To really identify the key product features and our product fit in the market, we did a beta test in the US and UK. And based on the early success from our beta and feedback from parents, we're confident we've identified exactly what parents are looking for. Users asked for tiered pricing models because every family is different. Some families use Storier for bedtime stories and sleep sounds, while others listen to audiobooks every time they're in the car or making crafts. So tiered plans let users pay for exactly what they need. You may be thinking, okay, this sounds kind of cool, but my kids will not pay attention to audio. But what we found is that we can gamify the audio experience to encourage new listeners to find content that they love. And actually, 3 out of 4 kids will ask their parents to play them stories without the parents even suggesting it. We also learned that we had to create a storytelling marketplace to allow content creators to upload their own content and cut out all advertisers. And I said Storier is kid safe, so that means that we screen through all of this content with AI speech filtering to make sure that all the content that goes on the platform is safe for kids. Our go-to-market strategy is to partner with parent influencers to create featured curated playlists that they can tell their followers to listen to on our app. We're also leveraging our network of podcast creators to tell their hundreds of thousands of listeners to listen ad-free on Storier. There is a massive opportunity in children's audio, and I'm confident that we have the right people on our team to create a safe place for kids to learn, laugh, imagine, and connect through storytelling. Storier will be going live this August, just in time for school. Thank you for supporting this important mission.
Can you tell me how accurate the AI is for language screening?
Yeah. I mean, we're still working on that, and that will come from a third-party API that we're going to integrate. So I can't answer with any confidence right now, but that will just be one part of the filter. Additionally, if anything's flagged, we'll review it also, and we allow users to report any inappropriate content that we'll review from that then on too.
How do you plan on gamifying the experience for kids?
Yeah, so our plan is to let kids listen to audio content, and for example, if you listen 10 days in a row to an audiobook, you get another token, and that token is good to listen to more stories. So it's an incentive to let them try new kinds of content, explore different genres, or listen for a certain period of time.
Could the parents customize the tokens so that the child earns privileges at the house?
That's an interesting idea.
It's a great idea.
That is a great idea. It kind of works that way where we give a token weekly, so it is a sort of allowance. And that way it's kind of teaching the kid how to budget. Because not all stories are only one token. Some are, the average is 4 tokens. But that way they can budget and decide what things they want to save and spend for.
With the content, are you paying for the content, licensing fees? You're sucking it into your system. So how's that relationship with the content providers?
Yeah, so for any of the publishers, we get all of the content just in like a big dump and it's automatically uploaded. We pay per user who downloads that content. So once they start listening to it, we pay for that title and that user owns it to their account. So when they use a token for that, they can listen to it as much as they want forever and we don't pay for it beyond that first purchase.
How do you compete against something like YouTube Kids? Mm-hmm. And setting up Netflix for kids? I know that like stuff filters in, but it's still like a behemoth going against those big brands.
Sure, yeah.
And then secondly, what about social features within Storyer for kids to be able to share? I'm trying to think like ways to make it so that it's not just about books, but it becomes a cool place for kids to go.
Yeah, I would say, first of all, our big differentiator is audio. So this is something that's a neglected market and niche for children where they're so focused on visual things. So that's kind of how we really will differentiate from YouTube, Netflix, et cetera. But to make the experience more of a social sort of thing, we really want people to be able to connect through Storyer. So eventually we want people to be able to upload their own content and share it with their family or networks of people that they trust. And then you can have Grandma Naylor read you Goodnight Moon, and you have that story in your library forever, and you're never going to delete that. Because that's something that's really personal and special to you, as well as being able to share other story, refer friends to earn more tokens, et cetera.
Do you have any, this might be too early, but do you have any data on percentage of customers moving from your $6 plan to $9 plan to $12 plan?
No, not really right now, because that was some feedback we got from our beta, so we've implemented it since then. We do expect that most of our users will go to the $9 plan, and that's kind of where we're directing people. It's the best value that people will get. But anyone with children under the age of 5 will probably go towards our first model, because that's more of just like the simple basic streaming.
You think you'll work with schools, preschools, like the guy that's got the babysitting stuff going on? Like, do you think that you could go beyond just families?
Yes, yeah, we would love to do that. Tech ed or ed tech is very complicated. So our beachhead is the customer market first, where we can really prove that this works, grow from there, and then we'd love to get into that space.
So Audible has a product, right?
Yes, Audible Stories. And that was included with your subscription. They just barely discontinued it. They only offered that included with this pandemic. But honestly, the content that they had there was not good at all.
Terrible stuff. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danny, for sharing a story with us all. Our next guest, our team that's pitching, is Edify AI.
Thank you. I'm Corey Linton, CEO and founder of Edify, and we are focused on safety and using AI to improve safety. So safety is a big deal for industries where people get hurt every day. Most of us in here, we go to an office, we don't think about this. But when you work in construction, mining, energy, utilities, you may not come home that day. And in these industries, safety is a very big deal. There's about 33 million workers in the US that work in these dangerous environments. And between the 3 million injuries and the 5,000 deaths, it costs the U.S. about $171 billion per year. So these are the industries where safety is a big deal: construction, manufacturing, utilities, energy. The thing that I love about safety is the processes across these different verticals are very similar when it comes to safety. We have construction the biggest there because that's where we have the most traction, but what we have going on in construction translates very well. So to understand safety today, this is the best way to explain it. So what this represents is 1 month's worth of what are called pre-task planning cards from the Facebook data center out in Eagle Mountain for one subcontractor. So every day, every worker has to fill out a card. It's called a pre-task plan. It explains what they're doing that day, the hazards they face, and how they control for those. This represents 1 month's worth. They have to store these for 8 years. The safety director for this company, he gets to scan these in at the end of every month. I mean, it's just such an inefficient process. But it's not just the paper. If you look at these cards, there's an incredible amount of really valuable data. So it's not just digitizing the process, it's getting the data. So what we do is we digitize these paper processes, analyze the data to understand the workers, how engaged they are, and what kind of risks they're taking. We make recommendations and then use predictive analytics to identify risk. So let's talk about our traction. Oh, actually, I want to talk about our app real quick. So we have an app-driven system that the frontline workers use. And these are the 4 key things we focus on. Personalization and mindset. When you are a worker in a dangerous environment, you have to have a safety mindset. And these benefits really resonate with customers. Driving personalization. Why do I want to be safe today? Because I have a family to go home to, right? Again, a lot of us don't think about those things. Driving a culture of safety. This is a really big deal to big construction companies. You can talk about safety, train on safety all day, but then somebody comes on site and says, get your bleepity bleep up that ladder. I don't care that it's broken. You just destroyed your culture of safety. So culture is a big deal. And then, of course, analytics and predicting risk. So this is based on, there's a local company called Brahma that did a lot of work around personalization mindset, and it ended up saving them about $1.8 million a year in claims. We have a second product. It's actually a product we bought from another company that we're migrating into our platform. This company, Shea Homes, has used that product for 4 years. They're one of the biggest home builders in the country. Liberty Mutual did an analysis of the use of our product and a lot of other factors and found that the use of our product saved up to $35,000 per occurrence. So the average claim in a workplace is $41,000. So they saved a lot of money on those incidents. So let's talk about our traction. So right now, we're at $760,000 ARR. And you can see some of the logos there. We do a lot of work with Facebook out at Eagle Mountain. We have one of our products is implemented there. Our second product, we just finished a pilot at 3 other Facebook sites. And just last week, we got a $350,000 agreement finalized with Facebook to roll that out across all their data centers worldwide. Now, what's exciting about that is the companies building those data centers are 10 of the largest construction companies in the world. Turner Construction, they're number 2 in the US. Not only are they building Facebook data centers, they're building data centers for Microsoft, Google, Amazon. So as we work with Turner to implement our software in Facebook, it opens up the door for the other companies. So I know we're out of time. I'm just going to make one more quick comment about insurance. The economic driver of safety is insurance. We've got a great agreement with WCF locally and also a group called Alliant that's the largest construction brokerage in the US. Ultimately, where we win is when we can say to a company, you'll save X% on your premiums if you use our software. That's what we're working towards. So, thank you.
So, Corey, I was at the Jazz game last night. Every step had WCF on it as I was walking up that 1,000 steps. They don't already have something that does this?
Okay, this is shocking. We are building the first mobile app for WCF they've ever had. It's focused on safety. And we are going to be launching that app later this year. It's a light version of our technology that they will push to their clients through their 27 safety consultants. And we knew this would happen. Other departments are saying, hey, we want to be part of the WCF safety app. So claims. So we have a lot of opportunity to grow within WCF, but our big opportunity is to upsell to their 21,000 clients that this will be rolling out to.
Did you say how long you've been working on this?
3 years.
So when you onboard a client, are you making a personalized app for them like you are for WCF? Or how long does the implementation usually take?
So it's an interesting question. So safety is 95% identical across these industries, but there's some differences in terminology. Some companies call mitigations controls, some of them call them mitigations. So there's some minor customizations we can make, but we've designed our platform because of WCF to where we can actually spit out branded apps. So for example, we're working with a construction company in Arkansas. They're about a $2 billion company. They want the Lexicon safety app. So we've actually got our platform now with very little work, we can spit out the branded Lexicon app.
Can you?
Just a quick follow-up. So you talked about like the personalization is what really lowered these injuries in companies. Is that you doing those personalizations for employees, or is it the company and their managers?
So it's actually personalization, mindset, and culture. All three of those are important. When we say personalization, that's a good question. The way you interpret it was the right way, but that's actually not what we meant. Personalization is, why is safety important to me? So for example, out at Facebook, when the craft workers open the app every day, it says, why are you safe today? And they can upload a picture. Very simple concept, but that personalizes safety for them. So we mean personalization in terms of the mindset of the worker. Okay. So, and then we have tools when they analyze tasks that they think through, how does this task impact me? What hazards do I face? And that really helps them analyze the problem.
Can you talk a little bit about selling into the companies, like construction companies or others that like the old school way of doing things?
Yep. Yeah. So construction is old school. The amount of paper is just insane. So there's a huge, but it's also one of the only verticals that is less productive today than it was 30 years ago. And there's a lot of good data on that. There's a whole bunch of reasons for that. Digitization of paper processes is one of the ways to improve it. But selling into the companies, our go-to market, so Facebook is really important. We're going to be working with 10 of the world's largest construction companies. Facebook also has 1,400 subcontractors working on data centers in the US. As those subcontractors use our software to Facebook data center, that becomes an opportunity for us to sell into the subcontractor. Just yesterday, I was meeting with one out of Facebook, and we've got a meeting set up with the president of their company to talk about more broadly rolling out in their company. So it's taken us 2 years to get into Facebook, get the pilot, get it done, get to this point. But now that we're at this point, we're a partner, and we've got about 1,500 companies just in the US that we can really go leverage through Facebook that we'll have direct connections to.
Have you ever thought about becoming your own insurance provider?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we don't have time to discuss that. What I will say is we've actually looked into it. There are 2 companies doing that. We think there's a bigger opportunity to partner with insurance companies and give them the kinds of tools that we have, because none of them have them. And we've had conversations with many very large insurance companies about this. Thank you, Corey. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Edify AI. We have heard from some amazing companies. We've got a couple left, so let's give it up for Wonder. They're up next.
Hi everyone, my name's AJ. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Wander, and I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you for having us. When we visit a destination, we use Google Maps to get there, whether that be a ski resort, a national park, a shopping mall, even an airport or a college campus, etc. But once we get there, we don't use Google Maps. We use a custom map built for that specific destination. There are millions of destinations across the world that rely on custom mapping solutions, and millions more that would rely on custom mapping solutions if they had a solution that fit their needs. Oops. But the solutions that we have today have a ton of problems. 1, paper maps are incredibly inefficient. 2, location-specific apps are super expensive, and they're usually a poor user experience, if visitors even download them. And number 3, destinations need a simple way to connect with their visitors and learn from their visitor data. Cue Wander, the all-in-one mapping solution for destinations. With Wander, any destination, large or small, can build, distribute, and update interactive maps that are available on all platforms, offline and 3D, without writing any code. And they can communicate with their customers in real time and view real customer data. This is our builder platform. This is where maps are built. We have virtually no style limitations. Anything can be built. We can add 3D buildings. We can change the color of the mountains. We can use all kinds of map styles. And once these maps are published, they're available on all platforms. They're embeddable on any site with a simple iframe, and they're available in our iOS and Android mobile apps, all offline and in 3D with offline GPS. As well as, one of the biggest things we've done recently is we've built a web-only mobile web map so that anyone can scan a QR code and have this map with GPS on their phone browser without downloading an app. So instant access. So what Wander has done is we've taken the main reasons why so many destinations build custom apps, and we've provided a solution at a fraction of the cost with like a 2-week turnaround time max. And we double engagement for our destination visitors. So as opposed to a custom app, by making these maps instantly accessible. So our business model is kind of awesome. So instead of charging the app users like most mapping apps do, our publishers pay for a monthly publishing service to have it across all of our platforms. We also charge for map sponsorship and advertising engagement, and we have an optional map building service that we provide for those that don't want to build their own. So our go-to-market strategies. Luckily, our target market segments have really vibrant communities already established. And so we plan and have been entering these communities and becoming part of the conversations in online forums and groups and attending trade shows and conferences. Many of them during COVID have been online, so we've been able to visit tons and learn a lot and get ourselves out there. We also see that when our customers view our product, they feel it, they instantly fall in love with it. So a big part of our strategy is content and word of mouth. So where have we been? I was in software. I started getting into software about 12 years ago. My first big project was actually an app for Lake Powell. It was an offline map app, part of one of those individual apps that we're trying to replace, actually. We've raised $205,000, and in 4 months, we have paying customers and key partnerships and an MVP. And our sales have tripled, and our pipeline has tripled every week since we've launched. This is a rough estimate. Oh, looks like I'm done. This is a rough estimate. Well, thank you, everybody.
So I'm curious within your app if you see potential for like the social media playing in there. So if I go to Lake Powell,
I'm so glad
hit
you
the
brought that
map.
up.
I want to
Yeah.
post my picture. I look good in my
right.
swimsuit, right?
Right. So we want to nail mapping. A lot of travel apps have tried to go from point A to Z and tried to do the social stuff immediately. But if we nail mapping, we get, with our total addressable market, we would get 300 billion free impressions to our product through our publishing partners. That's free advertising, right? Because our publishers do our advertising for us. But with that distribution, we have unlimited opportunity building social features. That's actually part of our pipeline. But we need to nail mapping first. We need to be the best. And then, yeah, all sorts of things.
How are you licensing the mapping from Google or from others?
We use Mapbox.
Okay, and talk to me about the underlying costs under that, because I know sometimes that can get out of control pretty fast.
Yeah, so we fit into their model really well, actually. They charge per map load and per map download, and because we have offline and everything is cached, that makes things really nice. And we're going to adjust our model, our pricing model, as we need to adjust for that cost with our publishers per usage and all that.
Can you talk a little bit about onboarding with those customers?
Great. So the publishers or the users? Publishers? Yeah? Okay. So we have a publisher platform built out. So they get on, they can invite contributors to their maps, and they define their map boundary, and they add all their content. Something I didn't mention is also we have an upload feature where if they have their data, a lot of like national parks have all their data in a KML file already. So we built a feature that you can just upload and spin out a map. So the Lake Powell map, actually, it took me about 2 years to build, about 10 years ago. And I built it in 5 minutes on Wonder by just uploading the data I had. So.
Would you ever consider working with a partnership with someone like Peak, who creates available experiences? That's their
Absolutely.
business, and so that a customer could sign up for an experience, and then you'd get a map as part of that.
Absolutely. And events, races. I mean, we can build maps for everything. Maps are so much bigger than Google Maps, and people don't realize it. After you've all listened to this, you're going to realize you're going to see millions of maps or hundreds of maps throughout your day-to-day life that are built by destinations, and you're going to realize how big this industry is and this problem is. But yes, we want to partner. Those key partnerships are going to be key to our strategy.
Talk to me a little bit about your technology moat. Like what prevents a person who looks like you to build Wander 2.0?
Well, we've spent a lot of time and energy being really up to date with the latest mapping technology. You'll notice you go on even AllTrails, they don't have offline 3D maps. So we've stayed really current with like the latest and greatest stuff. We're the first, one of the first maps to successfully implement offline 3D through Mapbox's new SDK, stuff like that. We're doing stuff with AR, and we're just trying to we're investing a lot of time into being right up there and being first to market.
So in some sense, this is like Unity or Roblox for gaming, but what you guys are doing is for maps. And I think like the corollary in my mind is, as a Strava user, I'm sure this could be helpful with Strava for sort of things that are already mapped out. Is that?
Exactly right. We work a lot with real estate developments that in all phases of their planning, their marketing to customers and to investors and to residents, private HOAs, stuff like that. So. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Wander. All right, so a big chunk of StartFest and Start Madness was put on by interns. That's no joke. So if you are a prospective intern and you'd like to join the Silicon Slopes team, just send us a note and you'd get to do fun stuff like this. All right, I've known Kyle, the CEO of True Adherence, for 10 years now. All the way from UVF, which is now UGF, so it's pretty exciting for me to see the transformation. Welcome, True Adherence.
Hi, I'm Kyle Poon, the CEO of True Adherence, where we're providing hyper-personalized fitness technology. So in the fitness space, you may have or currently use a personal trainer. Now the challenge for personal training is it's a 1-to-1 ratio. That is, 1 hour of pay comes from being with clients for an hour. So that means they cap out at about 20 to 50 clients per month, including current technologies that make trainers more efficient. The challenge is, we just went through a pandemic. People are very focused on their health and they want personalized fitness planning. So it's projected that this market, the need for personalized fitness, is going to grow by 10x over the next decade. But it's anticipated that there'll only be 15% more personal trainers, up to about 400,000 here in the US. As a personal trainer myself, I can tell you personal training just doesn't scale. It's really rough. There's a lot of potential and demand. That's why we created Train Assist by True Adherence. So we use depth sensing cameras inside of a digital touchscreen display that clients can interact with a trainer not present. And with that depth sensing camera and the display, we guide clients through the workouts that are from the trainer, track various stats, sets, reps, how they moved, how efficient they were, and that data is then informed to the trainer through our trainer portal, which allows the trainer to make modifications to that workout program. So they can take on many clients, we get rid of the 1-to-1 ratio, they can have multiple clients in multiple locations. Basically, we're creating the IBM Watson of personal training. So this is fitness, it's a big space, there's a lot of people, a lot of client-facing apparatuses out there, and then for trainers, there are some CRMs and stuff to make them more efficient, but there isn't really anything bridging the gap. And I said, this is hyper-personal fitness. This isn't video, this is actually curtailing to your needs, your biomechanics. And so we can actually offer adaptive routines, not suggested workouts that you just mimic. And also, this is all based on observed performance. That's what's powering our AI to give these suggestions to the trainer and the clients. And the fitness market's huge. It's $106 billion globally. Of that, $31 billion is spent on membership fees, personal training, and equipment. $6 billion of that is that personalized fitness that's projected to become $60 billion. And based on our top-down, bottom-up analyses, based on our pricing, that's a $2 billion market opportunity for True Adherence. Traction, we're in a pilot with 5 units. We've had over 600 users and 3,000 completed workouts since launching the pilot. on $0 of marketing spend. They're just in gyms, people walk up and use them, sometimes with the trainers on staff guiding and trying to integrate it into their workouts. Now, go-to-market, we are going to start with gyms because it allows us to have a one-to-many model where one unit can service many clients' needs at once, many trainers at once with those clients. So we're starting with community, large format gyms, eventually lifestyle gyms as an amenity, and then we'll expand into at-home so the trainers can work with their clients wherever they may be. We generate revenues in 3 ways: implementation fees, license fees for trainers, and then a revenue share for client licenses that come onto the platform. With the $250,000, we're going to continue the development so we get to commercial launch by the end of the year, which also requires some marketing spend. We are patent pending on parts of our technology. We want to expand that IP thicket, so we'll spend some more on IP over the next few months. Team-wise, we have certified personal training, XI banking, graphic design, sourcing for our hardware. We have 2 great industry veterans on our board to advise us on sales and growth. This is a technical product, so you need a really good CTO. Chris has developed this mainly by himself over the last 2 years, got us into this pilot, and has a background himself in being a Fortune 500 technology consultant. And what's brought our team together is we take fitness hyper-personal. Thank you for your time. I'm ready for questions.
I have a quick question. So what prevents someone like Tonal or another business to kind of do this? Just like pivot and do this?
It takes a lot of work to integrate the biomechanics. So that's what we're really using is we're watching 25 different points. And some people are using depth sensing cameras, but it's for minimal form feedback. It's not to actually auto-generate workouts for you. That's where we're really coming in is, no, hey, you just had a life-changing event, you had a baby, you need to kind of work out a little bit different. Maybe you have a sports injury. We're gonna modify this, and so our AI kicks in to change it up for you. Tonal, I've had people reach out and they've made this comparison. They're like, look, I get injured on Tonal. We spoke to he used to be the VP of product at Tonal. He was being corrected by trainers all the time for not having proper form because you're just watching a video mimicking it, and the AI that they say they have is just suggesting a different workout for you to do. It's not every single rep, we're giving feedback. So building that AI, those algorithms to actually coach people and make sure they're doing it safely with a trainer not present, that's the big barrier to entry. It's a lot of work.
Can you walk me through the Capex costs of the units? And then at some point, if you guys have thought about if you hit a certain point of scale, how that might lower?
Yeah, so currently for these prototype units, they were about $3,000 each. We're charging $5,000 for the implementation fee at the gyms. And that $3,000 is fully landed cost to actually get it. We manufacture in China, ship it over, getting it installed is that $3,000. So any other specifics on that, or, okay.
So if I'm working out at the gym and I want to use your machine, I have to pay my gym membership and then I pay my trainer fee and you guys, or is it included? How are you plan on doing that?
So in the pilot, that's a lot of what we've focused on is how would people want to pay for this? And they do see it as, hey, can I just add it into my monthly membership? Pricing wise, we're looking at $25 to $50 based on people who have demoed it over the life of the pilot as just using true adherence as your augmented trainer. And then currently, that's one of the challenges is we want to help make personal training scalable. And right now, you're paying $100 for a one-on-one session here in Utah. That's elsewhere, it's higher. So we're actually making it more affordable for people that with certain packages, instead of $100 a visit, pay $200 a month, you'll meet with your trainer a couple of times a month, and then you work out on the true adherence system. So that way, you're paying less than, it would be about $1,000 a month for using full personal training. You're down to $200 or $50 if you just want to go it solo until we upsell you to the needs of a motivational trainer. So in the end, we're saving people money that way. So yes, it's more fees, but you're getting better coaching, it's personalizing, and you're going to get more effective workouts based on your goals because people step out of working out because they lose the motivation. They don't know why they're doing something. They're following an Instagram influencer, and they're like, okay, why don't I have the same body as them yet? That's where true adherence is helping remind them of their milestones and what they've achieved based on that observed performance.
Can you talk to me a little bit about, you say you've been building this for 2 years. Sounds like there's a lot of tech inside of it. And on the software side, but on the hardware side, like what's the life of the hardware? And let's say it goes down, how do you bring it back online?
Yeah, and we'll see if this actually works. So that thing, we were down at BYU when we started this. The advice we got from one of the coaches there was make this thing bulletproof. That's cold rolled steel, weighs about 200 pounds. We had a guy that was near it and accidentally swung off some bars, kicked the thing, stayed upright, didn't dent it. We've had somebody hit it with a barbell. They're pretty rigorous. They got Gorilla Glass, so that's where a lot of the cost is making sure it is sturdy on that hardware side. And the life of the depth sensing camera is about a 5-year bulb life, so they last pretty long. Awesome.
Hey, we did it. All the teams in here, thank you so much. Give the teams, everybody who just pitched, the companies, the founders, thank you so much for participating. It takes a lot. There was a ton of people who applied. You made the top 10. That's actually incredible. So congratulations and thanks for everything. I'm going to dismiss you now because the judges are going to deliberate on stage here so people can kind of watch how they're thinking. I think we just go out this way. Is that what we're doing? Yeah, so we have a couple Silicon Slopes team members right behind you. They'll kind of show you where to go, what to do. While they're leaving, I want to thank the Silicon Slopes team, Bree, Emma, Garrett, Bowers, the whole team. Give it up for the Silicon Slopes team. Like, to pull this off is just unbelievable. Thank you all so much. And again, Pelion, thank you for everything that you've done. How do you feel? Do you guys feel good? Yeah. You feel good?
Can I keep the 19 grand check?
Yeah, keep the check. Keep. Yeah. All right, we will, the judges will start deliberating once we get the teams out. I'm going to give you guys this mic.
Maybe while they're leaving, we can talk a little bit more about Daler and the Wanderer. And for those that don't know, he's like a great Instagram follow. His coolness has really gone through the roof. He talked about posting down at Lake Powell.
Not at all, not at all.
You want to follow Daler on social media. Come on, Daler.
What's your handle, Daler?
At DYoungblood22.
But don't wallow.
No, the quarantine 18 got me, so it's been a rough year.
All right, so a lot of great companies today. I mean, like.
Are we talking?
Entrepreneurship. So really fun companies today. A nice variety. Tell me what you guys thought. Like.
I think we divide the check by 10 and just go home. They're all great companies.
Are we going to go company by company, or?
It's up to you guys. I had written some questions, just kind of companies that you thought had solved a really hard problem, or companies that you think have the most potential. But Curl, why don't you start?
I liked 4 of the 10 a lot. Mm-hmm. I really liked Credo. I think that the problem is bigger. It's a non-obvious large problem. I think you think, oh, house plants, relatively small market, people's yards, the amount of plants and lawns that don't look good.
Well,
and if the sensors really work,
think about
deliver that value, I think it can be incredibly large. The ability to ship the fertilizers and plant care and ultimately maybe even selling the plants themselves. I think that can be an unusually large market that people would probably underestimate.
Well, and think about people where you live in Arizona, the southern states that spend a fortune on palm trees. So and they die all the time. It's like if they could solve the palm tree problem and the Mother's Day orchid problem, like that's huge.
I just think of, I've got tomato plants that are still alive. But like I just went to Home Depot and you think about the amount of people that are purchasing plants, growing season, I think it's a sneaky big market. I really thought that was a really interesting one. And then I love the fact that one is built in a subscription model with it. And so you add those two things in, sneaky market, no one going after it, with subscription, it kind of resonated with me quite a bit.
You know what, to that point, Chad, what surprised me, and I just thought about this too, is like, where most and this is so subjective, but where most people really care about their plants are typically people living in cities. So then you break down, okay, what is the city population compared to sort of suburbia at large. So then that within itself attracts the larger market on a per census or per sensor basis.
I love the daily reminder. I mean, that's the biggest thing. If I get a notification right when I wake up, I'm going to do it. But if I don't, I'm probably going to forget.
Yeah, the other thing I like about it is the potential channel. So of course you have the Home Depots, but you also have every nursery in the country. They're going to share the same aligned motivation to keep these plants alive and serviced. So I think it can be a really sort of codifying, system for the entire, plant marketplace.
Another company I really liked was Edify. Huge market, big problem, old technology, and they're coming in and providing, really the first technology into that business. So,
Suze, that was my number 2. Good minds think alike.
Well, it's easy for companies to hop on board too if they're saving, I think you said X%, but it's anywhere 10 to 20% of their premiums. That's pretty easy to hop on.
And if they could combine their requirement for, some companies have to do drug testing. So if you could kind of move some of that stuff that HR typically has a standalone as part of your whole safety protocol about taking care of your employees, making sure you're in compliance, not just safety compliance.
Daler, I appreciate the fact that you hold that mic for Kareem.
This is, I do
Great
accept
teamwork.
tips.
Great teamwork.
I'd love to say with Edify, I agree. I also would love to think through bigger vision of disrupting the entire worker comp insurance play, because once you have the data and the footprint and you're sitting there understanding the safety and really the concerns and it's feeding back in real time, you're now able to actually underwrite at a much better scale. So I understand initially why they would partner, but longer term, I'd go right after the insurance providers.
Chad, you took my comment, so I'm not going to add more value.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, man. I love your shoes, by the way. The other thing I will say, though, is, the thing that really stuck out to me with Edify was they only have a nominal percentage of their install base, meaning that once they're in the door, contracts will organically increase, and that becomes the larger numbers game.
What did you guys think about the literal CEO, Michael? Pretty impressive sales tactics, dropping that check off.
Yeah, I thought.
I liked Literal a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
I've seen this business before. I like it. I think it's very unique. There's nothing else quite like it. And, I think the one downside for me on that business is the go-to-market, reaching school districts and, selling all those constituents, I think makes it a little tougher. But I actually think that can be a very large business, and I think it serves a great purpose.
Well, I double click on the CEO. I mean, look, they all did a fabulous job, but it was interesting when he came on stage. It's like you talk about somebody who's passionate about that company, and all of them had that in them. But I love the check, kind of that mic drop scenario for what we experienced with him. I don't know about you guys, but I was like ready to write a check.
I also thought the FIA Care, that company had some interesting, the way he framed it up, and I'd like to know more about it, but I think they're going after a really hard problem. I think there are a lot of people that Obamacare the Affordable Care Act didn't really solve for some of those challenges, but I think it's also very hard.
So if you, Storier I think is interesting, but I'm going back to Literal. I've just found that fighting the wave of the trend around kids' use of online devices, not that I disagree with it, but it might be a battle lost already. And so the idea of fighting that battle, I don't think you're going to win it. I think it's done. So then the question is, how do you change behavior in the right way? That's why I think Literal is kind of interesting, is because you're interacting in a different way, text messages, that kind of play, which resonates with kids. So you're playing into the wave that's happening, but not asking in a completely changing environment where kids are going to watch YouTube Kids. It's just going to happen. And fighting that seems really tough.
I also think with Literal, it's not just an application for, I think it's much broader than selling into education systems. I'm a huge reader. I would read a book that way. If I could switch between mediums and read a book through text message, maybe listen the next minute, and they have the ability to do that through their technology, I think is super interesting.
I was charmed by Danny's presentation for Storier, and I thought that he did a very nice job. But also, that's something that I would buy for my granddaughter, right? That to me, I like to read to her, but I know that she's playing, and so I thought he did a nice job as well.
Yeah, I think the point that he made about having like your grandma be able to read you a story and have that always on your phone, I think that's a super interesting play, especially now that I guess now COVID's over, people are traveling, but having that kind of always on your phone would be really nice.
So as I sat and listened to Up Kids, all I could picture was the conversation I had with Chad when he came home from Techstars after watching Airbnb present, and it was, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. So I'm gonna put that in the parking lot. That like there was things about that resonated as a new grandfather, as we looked for trying to find some childcare for our grandkids while we went out. So like there was lots of stuff that I liked about it, but I defer to my partner who's a lawyer on some of this stuff. There's so much, and it gives me angst on one end as well.
I'm not sure I'm the best one on the legal liability issue, but I actually thought that one was kind of interesting. If I had to give any advice, I would think maybe slightly differently about maybe becoming a practice management payment solution up front for these care centers, and then bolting on the marketplace for these substitutes. So I think the substitute play is just too small, and I think I would tweak the model slightly to do it a little differently from the start. So I think it's an interesting market. I think it's generally probably untapped in terms of software, payments, solutions, scheduling. I bet I haven't used one, but my guess is those solutions suck. They look horrible.
Well, the real question is, it's a problem everyone agrees with. We've got to solve it. But what is the right insertion point initially to become the system of record for a child care provider? And if you could do that, if you're convinced you could do that, then that could also be a very large business. And I don't know if that initial insertion point, like you say, is the labor, or if it could be payments or something different.
Well, I love all the stuff for the kids, but for me, it's sponsor. Oh gosh, I sucked at raising money. It was the worst experience ever. I hate asking for people to buy things. So if I can ask someone to take a meeting, that's a lot easier.
I also don't think I ever actually realized how bad the maps are. So I use Strava, I use Google, I use all that's available to me, and they're terrible. Like they're old, or if they think they're up to date, you end up going the wrong way. And if she can really work with communities and with cities and everyone that's trying to make sure that their visitors, the canyons, have a great experience, then I think that's something that would be pretty cool.
That's one where I'd like to learn more about the true market size. It feels like it could be another non-obvious, very large business, the sheer number of customized maps that could exist. And if what I loved about her pitch was she said, 10 years ago, I built this for Lake Powell, and it was a big engineering project. I duplicated that today in our system in 5 minutes. That makes me think that there is a real significant opportunity there.
Last comment here. As a kid who grew up reading Rand McNally, because I'm a map nerd, I love that business. So anyway, I think we're going to exit stage right or left into the conference room. Thanks, everybody.
All right. I'll let the judges go deliberate and make their final consideration for who is going to be the winner of 2021 Start Madness. I want to, real quick, you may see a logo appear while they're deliberating, but it won't be too long. So make sure you stick around as we announce the winner here. Real quick, I just want to make 2 points. One, thanks again to the Silicon Slopes team for everything that they've done to put this on, to make StartFest a reality again. It really is beautiful to have StartFest back and to have Start Madness back. And it's beautiful that we can kind of be together again, even virtually, and we're starting to do more in-person events, and it means a lot. It's really cool. StartFest is kind of, I think, one of the beginnings of building a community here around Utah's tech ecosystem, or at least in this current wave, and it just means a lot to have it back. I also want just quickly to address the the community on the past year, a little over a year, and their response and their resilience and the way they came through and stepped up and helped and made a difference here in the state of Utah. So thank you to all the companies and leaders who did that. And finally, an announcement from Silicon Slopes. It's kind of a big deal. We're going to launch a TV channel, which is really cool. Stay tuned for that. That's coming up very, very, very soon. We'll send out the details. We think, there's a real opportunity to tell the stories that's happening here in Silicon Slopes, in the state of Utah, the stories that aren't told, stories that are told, maybe in a weird way too. So we're excited about that. Also check out Founders Hub, foundershub.ceo.com. Thank you all so much. We will be back here in just a second to announce the winner. We have a winner. How cool is that? I'm going to hand it over to Blake to talk about this deliberation, this process, Start Madness 2021, whatever you want to talk about, my friend.
Well, first of all, we're excited to be here, and I don't know if you heard the fist fight that just took place back there. So let me tell you a little bit about a Pelion Partners meeting. People get super passionate. So there were 10 really passionate conversations that took place in there, and we deliberated. So congrats to everybody, because what you guys have built, the entrepreneurial journey is an interesting one. I had somebody explain it to me one time as it's the funnest, loneliest job that you ever have in your life. And so we commend each one of you. Look, we're VCs, so what do we know? But having said that, thank you so much for letting us be involved. Congrats to all of you. I'm serious. I still got people back here arguing with each other over who should win. So, in fact, there's going to be some follow-up with some of you before. So know that that's coming. So, all right. So I think we're ready to announce. Daylor, come help me. If you'll grab the check. So Daylor did all of the back. He kept us all straight up, and I'm serious about Daylor and the social media follow. You should really do that. All right. So, all right. The winner is, big fat drum roll, Daylor.
Edify.
All right, Edify, come on up. First of all, guys, congrats. And you know what? Anybody that wears white shoes and a blazer, I'm all in on that. Amen. So now, thank you. Appreciate that. Take the picture. All right, gentlemen, Whoa. All right, hang on. Now, I mentioned earlier we had a fist fight that went on, so Daylor, I need your help once again. So, gentlemen, just slide that way just for a second. Whoop, stay there. All right, I'm serious. We had a hard time picking here, so what Pelion decided to do is we're going to award two $250,000 checks. And you know what? Let me first start off by saying Daylor, Suze, Katie, Zen, their idea. Us old guys, we just agree with the young folks in our firm. So here we go. All right, Daylor. Big drum roll.
Second winner is Credo.
All right, come on up. I like it. So, as I said, each one of you were winners in your own right. We loved everything that went on today. Clint, I don't know how you want to wrap this thing up, but congratulations to Edify and Credo. We'll circle up with you guys on how to make this process to actually get you the money on that side. Yeah, there we go. Bank account number will work. So, do I hand it over to Emma, or what do we do? Oh, there you go.
Thanks so much. Start Madness 2021. Congratulations to the companies. Keep watching Start Fast. Thank you all very much.